All right. How would you like to try a watercolor or a pastel? And to make this more simple, I have opened the same document twice. So I opened the first one and then I saved as copy and then opened it again. So I'd have one to look at and one to work from. And I love these little irises and they make beautiful pastels. So I thought I would try working on it for a little while as a pastel. And so I'm on the one that I want to paint, which is this one. And step one again is going to be to duplicate the background layer. And as you can see, I have that done right here. I have the background copy. And all of these that we're going to paint on, the first step is to go into filter and stylize and use glowing edges to draw the edges. Now I want all of this background artifact to kind of disappear. So I've pumped up the smoothness so as much as that will disappear. And I want the edges to be pretty bright and then the edge width to be 2. So I have brightness 9 and the width as 2. And so it has come up like that, and you can see it's on a copy above the background layer. And then we're going to do the same thing as we did before. We're going to go into image, adjust, and desaturate, and that will get rid of all the color. And then image, adjust, and invert it so that we have more of the line drawing. And I want the line drawing to show through a little bit, so I'm then going to go image, adjust, and I can use either brightness or contrast or levels, and I'm going to up the outline levels to be a little bit darker in this. Alright, so now I have my drawing, and I want to put the paper behind it. So I'll come over here into layers, and I've got a background. Am I in the right one? There's the one that I have everything done in. I'm going to add a new layer to put pastel paper behind it. And I'll drag that layer down below the background copy. And then I'll come to my bucket, and under pattern, I'm going to find a pattern that I think that looks good. I wanted it to be green. I didn't like the color green and everything is here. So I'm going to go with blue specks and come and pour down the blue specks on this layer. And I am going to try to adjust it then. Adjust hue, saturation, and turn it more into a greener background color, and I can play with the lightness and darkness and get kind of a nice green background image to put it on. So there it is. Now I come again to the background copy, and I am going to hit multiply so that the white goes away, and I've got that pastel drawing. Now this time I want to be able to erase because I like to draw a little bit more sloppily than the most obvious person. So I'm going to make another layer, and this time we're just going to use our pastel brush. I did it twice, so I don't need to do that. Pastel brush into that layer, and then we can play with the opacity a little bit. And so then in my brush presets over here, I've got all the different, this is the dry media brushes, and I have pastel and charcoal paper. I've got soft pastel large. I could try small pastel, any of these things that would work for you. So I'm going to go with something a little bit more rough, and that's why I have the color and everything over here. And I can actually choose and look at a color. I don't like the real yellow wilted look here. I'm going to pretend that's a bud instead. And I'm on this brand new layer so that if I get out of my outline or it's too dark to see the outline, I can go back and adjust it. I have my opacity on 75% and my flow on 65%. And then I just start painting in the different colors. And as you can see, if we zoom in more, that you can see some of the texture of the paper behind this. So anywhere that I'm going to want that color or to go even a little bit darker, I can just start painting in pastel on top of the paper as I go and add those colors in. I could adjust it and play with it however I like. This time I'm not using that background layer. I am painting it with my big pastel color. So however I decide to paint it, it's going to be however it turns out. So a nice lighter color pastel on this pretty green paper is going to show up light. See, or I can come in and add some of the light, and it blends pretty nicely. If I wanted it to blend more than when I come in with a new color, I can just soften up the opacity a little bit and go right on top. Now the reason why I'm doing this on a new layer, see, I am purposely coming outside that layer here so I can show you. And I can just come in with my eraser now and erase back to that edge. So if I go anywhere where I don't want that color to be, I'll just come back and work on that edge. And that would be a simple pastel technique.